You, I wish to extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you to today's Zoom session with Bob Wright. Mr. Bob Wright, who is fondly known and addressed as Bob Wright, is a founder of and the chairman of the American Anti-Cancer Institute in the United States, and he's also the author of this book, Killing Cancer, Not People. And I want to acknowledge our associates, our friends, our families, boys and girls at home. Those of us who are coming in, joining us for the first time, we want to welcome you. And also friends joining in today to seek help from Bob, we also want to welcome you. I trust today's session would be very informative and beneficial to you. And the subject we talk about today is all about cancer. Through this book, many lives have been touched and changed for better health. Following strictly to the AACI protocols, numerous terminally ill patients have had their sickness, illness, and diseases reversed for the better right here in Malaysia. And this morning, we have the opportunity to hear from the man himself. And of course, I want to thank Mr. Robert Wright for taking his precious time from his busy schedule to be with us to share right from his heart. And of course, there's a time for question and answer too. And also a word of thanks to the Southeast Asian ambassadors for the AACI, John Lim and June, for coordinating today's Robert Wright's session. And I would strongly suggest that each of us will take down notes on some valuable information that Bob is going to share with us. And that will be beneficial, helpful to you and your family. Let me introduce myself. I'm Aaron Andy, the Healthcare Management Consultant for the American Anti-Cancer Institute. I'll be your MC for this morning. Bob, it's wonderful to have you with us today, Bob. And we want to thank you for the many protocols that you have recommended. And we have seen positive results. And today we have also several newcomers joining us, looking forward to receive help from you. And truly, we want to say that it is a great pleasure to have you with us. So with that, I want to let us hand over this time to Bob. Bob, over to you, Bob.
Well, thank you very much, Aaron. And thank you to all of our consultants and ambassadors in Southeast Asia. I want to quote a fact right now as we get started. And that's that, believe it or not, we're called the American Anti-Cancer Institute, and we're also the International Wellness and Research Center. We actually do more work in Southeast Asia than we do in the United States, believe it or not. And it's because we live in a land here that is supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave, you know, the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. And it's my country. I was born and raised here. It's not exactly the same as when I was raised here. There are a lot of people living in fear. We live in fear not only of cancer, but of many other things. Now, sometimes we're in fear of our own government. We're in fear of viruses and vaccinations and losing our jobs. And there are so many things we can live in fear of, and this causes stress. And you know what stress really relates to. And so the first thing I want to do is caution everyone and encourage everyone. Don't live in fear. Life is far too short. We need to do the things that we need to do to stay healthy and to heal our bodies when we're not healthy. We have the ability to do this now. Unfortunately, too few people know this fact. The case in point is we get cancer, and what do? We run off to the doctor. We get a diagnosis, and then immediately we have surgery, and then we have chemotherapy, and then we have radiotherapy, and then we have more surgery, and then more chemotherapy and more radiotherapy, and pretty soon we die. It doesn't have to be that way. I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to be that way. And we're going to answer some questions today. Aaron's going to propose some questions to me, and these are going to be very important because we want to know about cancer. We want to know what it is. We want to know how we get it. We want to know how to heal it. But what we will talk about today will most likely carry across to all chronic illness. So if you're here today and you don't have cancer, but you want to make sure you don't get cancer, then listen up. If you have heart disease, if you have diabetes, if you have autoimmune diseases, if you've got gout or hemorrhoids or anything else, listen up. Because what we're going to talk about today is more of a lifestyle. And these are things that I do today without cancer or without any chronic illness. I do the things that we propose in our protocols to people with cancer and other chronic illness. I really believe that what heals prevents and what prevents heals. So do pay attention. And we're going to cover a little bit of ground fairly rapidly today because we don't have a whole lot of time. But we want to make sure your questions get answered, and keep in mind that if they don't get answered today, they may get answered tomorrow or the next day, because we're always available through our ambassadors to answer your questions. And we work directly with you. The ambassadors do, and I do too. We have consults all the time with people all over Southeast Asia. And we do this for a reason, because too many organizations like ours aren't hands-on anymore. You can't get a hold of anyone. You can't talk to anyone. You can't get your questions answered. We're different. You can talk to us, and we want to talk to you, and we want to show you that we really believe we have the answers, not just to cancer, but probably to every other type of sickness or chronic illness. The body will heal itself if you give it the tools. The tools aren't chemicals and radiation. Those aren't the tools I'm talking about. I'm talking about the right food, the right water, the right supplementation, the right detoxification, oxygenation of your body, exercise when you can. These are the things that change you, and they change you from the inside out. And when you do that, you heal. That's just how it works. But too few people really know about it. And that's what we're here today, to acquaint you more with some of the things that we talk to cancer patients about and everyone about. And these things work, and we know they work because we've seen it in the healed bodies of actually tens of thousands of people. So without further ado, Aaron, should we progress here?
Yeah, thank you, Bob. That's a very fine introduction you gave. And you said it very right, Bob, about the 5 steps. You know, each time we talk about cancer and its management, first thing comes to our mind is the 5 steps to healing cancer. Bob, I'd like you to take a couple of minutes just to talk about these 5 steps of cancer, because most of us are familiar. We have heard about you in your videos as well in the previous presentation. But for the benefit of those who are joining us for the first time and looking for help for consultancy, probably you just take a couple of minutes and share with us on your 5 steps to healing cancer. And then we go ahead with the following questions.
The 5 steps are very simple and straightforward. These are 5 steps to follow if you have cancer or any chronic illness. These are also 5 steps to follow if you don't have cancer or any chronic illness. Now, that may sound a little puzzling to you, but I just said a short time ago that what heals prevents, and what prevents heal. So what should we do? The first thing is we should eat the right food. We should have the right diet. That should be a no-brainer, basically, for us. And largely, we don't do that, even around the world today. We used to think it was only in the United States that we ate junk and called it food. But it's all over the world today. So we need to start with a diet that feeds our body, that puts the nutrients that used to be in our soil, that puts them back into our bodies. Our body will respond if we do that. We need to drink the right fluids. What are the right fluids? Well, there's not many out there. I had to study for a long time to find out what cancer patients could actually drink. And we came up with something that worked. And of course, most of you know today that we forward Kangen water. And we do it for science because of the scientific principles behind it. Not just because you need good water. Everyone knows you need good water. You need 8 to 12 glasses of water a day. But you need to drink the right, the right kind of water. Because if you don't, the water won't help you that much. And we drink Kangen water because of the science behind it. I'm not going to go deep into that today, but it's one of the most critical things that you can do, because you have to, of course, get enough fluid into your body, but you need the antioxidants, you need the molecular hydrogen, you need the ability to raise the negative cell voltage. If you don't, your body won't heal. And the quickest way to do that is with Kangen water. And then we need to take the right supplementation, because we are simply just not getting enough nutrients from the food that we eat any longer. So we take supplements, but we only take the best supplements. You know, you can go to a vitamin shop or many supplement stores now, and you can buy 5,000 different supplements. And I'm sad to say that the majority of those probably won't do you much good, and some of them will harm you. We need to be very selective when we're with anything that we put in our bodies, especially if we're sick or have cancer. And so we went out and we studied and we researched, and we found a few things that are the absolute right things to put in your body regarding vitamins and minerals, the right kind of minerals that are 100% absorbable at the cellular level. We eat seed oils because the life is in the seed. We do something called a SIA, and we can go deep into that, but we're not going to do that today. But we have selected these things for a specific reason, all of these things, because they fight the inflammation of the body, the acidification of the body. They pour nutrients into the body. They hydrate the body. They're full of antioxidants, and all of these things do that. Remember that cancer forms and is spread by inflammation. As a result, what do we need to do? We need to eliminate the inflammation. All disease is driven by inflammation, and it spreads by inflammation. So almost everything that we recommend has to do with reducing inflammation in the body. The fourth thing is that we need to detox our bodies. You know, you can utilize the first three and get better and better and better, but you just might stop because your body is too toxic. We now have ways to get toxins out of the body. It's extremely important. Some people don't complete their healing because they're too toxic. So we need to be able to get the toxins out of the body. And the last thing is exercise.
Yeah.
And for people who can, if you're a stage 4 cancer patient and can't get out of bed, obviously we don't want you to exercise at that point. But if you have the ability, it's important, because we can get the red blood cells moving in our body, and we're already reinflating them through drinking the right water. We can carry oxygen into the cells. Cancer hates oxygen, and we can pull all the crud that's in your cells out and dispose of it. We can just do so many things when we do the right things, and exercise is one of those. So we highly recommend it. So those are the basic 5 things. There are other things that are more minor that come off of those, but those are the major things that we do, and we mold all of those together in a specific protocol for cancer patients or for people suffering with chronic illness.
Thank you, Bob. That's a great insight you have given. But going back to basic, many actually have got different thoughts about these 4 questions, like what is cancer, how does it form, what causes it, and how one gets it. This actually they intertwine together. You have covered it in some manner, but for the benefit of those newcomers here, how would you explain to us, for us to identify? Some talked about, it could be a mutation of cells. The mutation leads to a tumor, and the tumor leads to, a cancerous tissue cell. So there are a variety of concerns, variety of thoughts. Perhaps you can just put into perspective from your side about what cancer it is, where it comes from, what causes it, and how do we get it. I'm just putting it in a shorter way. You can cover them together. Over to you, Bob.
Well, it's probable that we all have some rogue cancer cells in our bodies most of the time. The thing is, we don't normally have a lot of them, and if we have good immune systems, the immune system will kill the cancer, will knock out the cancer. And so that is probably going on a lot in our bodies all the time. It's when our immune systems get weak and we continue to inflame our bodies by doing all of these things we talked about, being subject to radiation and chemicals and eating the wrong foods and drinking the wrong liquids. And our body begins to break down. It actually, in a sense, begins to rot from the inside out. And these cancer cells form, and they're basically the result of an acidified body. We're born slightly alkaline. If you've ever smelled a newborn baby, you know it smells very good because it's born slightly alkaline. If you've ever gone into a home where elder patients are living, you'll know that it doesn't smell too good because it's very acidic. People have gotten acidic as they get older. And the acid begets inflammation, which begets disease, hence cancer. And so it's really no surprise that we get cancer today because our diets and our lifestyles have driven us to cancer. It's only when we begin to eliminate these things that things change in our lives. And that's what this protocol we talked about a minute ago is all about. So it's basically cells that won't die. That's what cancer is. All of the cells in our body have an end date on them. It's called apoptosis, and that's a programmed cell death. You know, your skin cells are always turning over, right? You're always flaking off skin cells and your body's making new ones.
Sure.
That happens to all the cells in your body. So over about 8 months or so, all the cells in your body are new. And the old ones have been discarded and run out of your bodies. So cancer cells are different. They won't die. And so they begin to form in colonies, and the inflammation continues to drive them. And it doesn't seem like anything can kill them. And so it grows and it spreads. And that's why we have cancer. And that's basically what it is. These cells that have gone awry and sideways and that are toxic and will not die, cancer cells. And they invade our bodies and our organs and our skin and all parts of us. And pretty soon we get to the point where we can't stop it any longer. And that's why people die of cancer.
Thank you, Bob. It means to say that all of us have cancer cells in our bodies, but something triggers it. Hypoxia, acidosis are the two primary concerns that you have. Right. Now, coming back to those, we have talked to several of our patients, and they live good, healthy lifestyles, but somehow they ended up being a cancer patient. The big question comes by: is it through hereditary? The parents have, probably there's a lineage in the family have. Now, what percentage of such contribution is into sort of like ending up as being a cancer patient, even though you have maintained an excellent lifestyle?
Well, Aaron, we know that there are no guarantees in life because we're really not in charge. We have to understand God's in charge, not us. Although there's a lot of us that like to believe that we're in charge and we're in charge of our own bodies, but we're really not. Hereditary, what do we inherit from our parents through our genes? Maybe up to 5% of cancers maybe can be attributed to some genetic abnormalities in the body. But still, we need to understand that these genetic abnormalities need to be driven. They need to be expressed. Because if you live a very good life, and I'm talking about eating and drinking and doing all the right things, you have a very, very good chance of never having a cancer episode. However, I just said a few minutes ago, there are no guarantees. And here is the reason. The reason is because there are things beyond our control. We can eat everything correctly, or believe that we do anyway, if we're watching what we eat and everything that is in that food. We can drink the right water. We can do that. We can take a carload of supplements that we know are full of nutrients and really, really keeping us healthy. We can detox our body on a regular basis. We can be exercisers. I've seen people who do all of those. And like you just said, Aaron, sometimes some of those people still get cancer. And so we want to know why, right? And the reason is, once again, we're not in control. And you can't tell me that you are, because I'm sitting next to Wi-Fi right now. It's emitting radiation to me. But I have something that ameliorates the radiation. So I'm doing something about it, but most people are not. I've got dots on the back of my cell phone that ameliorate the radiation of my cell phone. Most people do not. We have Wi-Fi towers. We have 5G towers out there now. If you think we've had cancer and sickness before, you just wait now with the 5G and the vaccinations, and you're going to see sickness like we've never seen before. And we can talk about that and how that works at another time. But the fact is that we're not in as much control as we think we are, because we're not really ameliorating the radiation as best we can. And we know we're taught when we're very young to stay away from radiation. And yet we still let doctors do it on our bodies when we have cancer. And a lot of people die of the radiation, not the cancer, or the chemotherapy and not the cancer, because these things are toxic and these things actually produce new cancers. So chemicals, how often do we look at the dish soap we use, the soap we use on our bodies, the lotions and potions we put on our bodies, the things we put all over ourselves or that we're subject to, the plastics we handle, all of this stuff that we think we're in control of, we're really not, until and if we really do get in control of it. But it's very difficult to do in this world today because we're bombarded with these things daily, day in and day out. And you can't go anywhere without being bombarded with radiation or being subjected to chemicals in the air even. So this is the reason why people who appear to be very healthy or appear to do everything right sometimes will come down with cancer. But I can tell you that those people are the ones that will heal the easiest because they know what to do if in fact they do get a cancer. But again, there are no guarantees. I mean, I thought I was immune too, right? But I only have one kidney left because I had one kidney removed. It was full of cancer to the point that it was bursting out of the kidney sac. That was years ago. And so I was an athlete all my life. I ate and drank right. I took supplements. I thought I did everything right. And yet I ended up with cancer. I didn't do any chemo. I didn't do any radiation, nor would I. They cause more harm than any good they do. Instead, we get on a protocol like we talk about here, and that's what helps. The best chemotherapy you can take is the right food and the right water and the right supplements that you eat and drink every day. Far superior to any chemotherapy you could take.
Thank you, Bob. That's very true, because there are many things working against us within our system. And that is why we have come across cases. One is enjoying good health, and suddenly they come up through an examination, they're in advanced stage of cancer. Now, slowly but surely, things are working in their system. But just help us share with us, what are the things that we can look out there? You know, something irregular is happening into your body, rather than going to have an examination done on the cancer markers to determine that you are cancer. But I'm sure there must be areas that we will be able to watch ourselves, be able to communicate with our body, you know, just to know that we do not want to be a surprise that at the moment you go for a check and you say, wow, it's advanced. Now, how can that be? Surely there must be some signs, some symptoms, some pains here and there. Probably one would have ignored them or just, you know, overlooked that. There are many reasons for that, but it would be a great assurance if some thoughts are given to know, you know, something is not correct in us. What are some of the things that you would ask us to take note of it?
Well, generally there are symptoms. But especially we men, we're not good at going to the doctor. You know, we say, oh, it's nothing. Oh, it's nothing. And of course, it's really not. One of the things we need to do as people is understand our bodies and know our bodies and how they function. And with the influx now of all the wrong non-foods that we eat and all the liquids that we eat, we're used to having heartburn. We're used to having acid reflux and a pain here and a pain there and indigestion and constipation. And these are becoming things that are more regular than being regular, you might say. So we don't pay attention to these things anymore. We need to get in tune with our bodies. And when we are in tune with our bodies, we know, we can feel that something is just not right. For instance, I can sit here and be still for a moment, and I can tell you what my heart rate is. How many people can do that? And that's because I'm in tune to it. we know when we're not sleeping, and if we're not sleeping, we're not healing. And it gets worse and worse, because that's the time that we heal. And so insomnia is another thing. We're not sleeping. That signals that something's wrong. You have gastrointestinal reflux disease, something's wrong. You just don't need to get a proton pump inhibitor or an acid stopper and think everything's going to be better. Doesn't work that way. And so our body tells us when something's wrong. And that doesn't mean we should go rushing off to the doctor every time we have a stomach ache or something, but we need to be in tune and pay attention to what's going on with our body. The problem is sometimes the symptoms are very mild and we don't know. We have heard that pancreatic cancer is almost always fatal. You know why?
Yes.
Because there aren't any symptoms. And by the time the people that have it get the symptoms, it's already stage 4 and it's already too late for them. Well, it's too late for them if they go to have chemo and radiation and surgery. But as most of you know who are listening today, we deal with stage 4 cancer patients all the time and have great success. So that doesn't mean if you have stage 4 cancer that you're going to die. It just means that you got a little battle in front of you and we've got to get to it. But your body is going to tell you when something's wrong. And we need to become in tune with that and those symptoms and know what they mean, because they mean something. They always mean something. It could be something that's just passing, or it could be some form of cancer, heart disease. When we get high blood pressure, these things tell us something. When we have high cholesterol, that's not a reason to panic, but we need to know why we have these things so that we can correct them. And folks, we know how to correct these things today. Without surgery, without drugs, we know how to correct these things. So I would just assert to people that be in touch with your body, know your body, test yourself, test your heartbeat, your heart rate, know your blood pressure. These are easy things to do. Know when something is just not right, and you know it's not right. If you've got vertigo, if you get dizziness, these are signs of something. So we just need to pay attention. It might not be anything serious at all, but we need to pay attention to these things just in case, because the sooner that we can get to something, the better chance we have of correcting it.
Thank you, Bob. That's absolutely right. Now, today in our experience, we realize this. One goes to see a doctor and he tells that you have cancer and he gives you, like no option at all. You go for chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery. These are basic that comes by. Now, that's what is given to the patients. And the patients are in a dilemma to make decisions, so to speak. We want to encourage them. Now, we, for one, we know that those who come earlier to seek our consultancy and protocols, their chances of recovery is very, very good. But unfortunately, many would have, after listening to their physicians, they go up to seek several treatments and then ending up in an advanced stage, then they come to us. Now, that's pretty, what you say is absolutely right, because it is a challenging time they're going to go through, see, but we want to give that assurance to them that, all those of our patients who have seek consultancy with you one-to-one, they are very assured. But today, since we have listeners at large, a word of assurance you could give them that having received an information of that nature from your physician do not necessarily mean they need to take on. They can look at alternatives. Your thoughts on that, Bob?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And the first thing I would say to people in that situation, when you get a diagnosis of cancer, it's immediately a shock to your system. And my answer to that is don't panic. And I know it's easier for me to say than for the patient to do, but don't panic. Start to do the things and collect the information so that you have opportunities and options on how to go forward instead of being in a dead panic and saying, I'm going to die. Because most people who do the right things with cancer don't die. And so there's hope. That's what we tell people all the time. Even if you've had operation after operation, you've had several rounds of chemotherapy and radiation, and you're worse than you were before, there's still hope. And we tell people that. Now, it might take doing a very critical protocol that is different than what you've been doing. We might tell you not to drink milk, not to eat wheat, some other things that people like to do, not to eat that big fat juicy steak or drink alcohol or smoke. And we know that when people get a cancer diagnosis, they start to panic, and especially when they have pain. When you have pain, what do? You try and find some comfort wherever you can. Sadly, many cancer patients go to food. Food gives them comfort, the right food that they've been eating all the time, and perhaps the same food that helped to drive the cancer in the first place. So it's understandable that they want to go there because they want comfort in their pain, but it's not really the answer and the solution. What it is to get on a treatment protocol that actually has an opportunity to help you. And that's that protocol that I've been telling you about. And the one that we always go over with, there's some changes to it. Not everyone gets exactly the same thing, but cancer is a dis-ease or a sickness that basically needs the same solution with maybe a few alternatives, but the same solution no matter what kind of cancer that you have. Because we said it's your cells that are out of control. And that's the same if you have liver cancer, if you've got colon cancer, you've got pancreatic cancer or ovarian cancer, you still need to battle the root cause of that cancer. And that's why the protocols are similar for all forms of cancer. So there's hope. Don't panic. Just be very, very matter of fact. If you have that diagnosis or if you have that feeling that something's wrong, approach it with the mindset that, you know what, if this is what it is, then I'm going to do what's necessary to get myself back on track.
Thank you, Bob. That's one of the protocols I like to also just share with you is the coffee enema. Almost all my patients who have gone through the coffee enema, they come up and say, pain goes away. Pain is grossly reduced. And it's amazing to know that within days, those who are going through, pain on various drugs and medicines, they seem to have this relief to a very high percentage. Coffee enema does that.
Yeah, it does, and it's a very unique treatment, and it's designed to dump the liver of what is in it. It's not a complete purge of the liver, but it is to a degree. Your liver is always involved in cancer. Whether you have a cancerous tumor in your liver or not, your liver is your main detox organ. And so all of the junk, the cancer cells and everything that's being destroyed are going to filter through the blood and filter through your liver. And so your liver, if it cannot detox fast enough, which it can't a lot of times if you've got radiation and chemotherapy and all of this going on, it stores things. And those things will haunt you. So we need to get rid of them. And that's why we need to detox. And the coffee enema works well because held in the sigmoid colon, it kind of trips a little conduit or sensor that goes to the liver. And that allows the liver to purge. And that's why you can continue to purge the liver of its foul contents. And you'd be surprised what comes out of your liver. I can tell you because I've seen this work. I've seen, in my book in chapter 9, we talk about PIO, precision intestinal oxidative hydrotoning. So I know what happens. I've seen firsthand many dozens of times what happens when the liver purge and what comes out of your liver, from lymph colonies to dead red blood cells to drugs to heavy metals. And these are the things that won't allow you to heal if you don't get them out of your body. So you're absolutely right, Aaron. The coffee enemas are wonderful, and they can help reduce or eliminate pain.
Thank you, Bob. That's excellent. Bob, this is a common, question many of our listeners, they want to know specifically. When they are told of cancer, now there's a stage 1, a stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. Many are not very, very sure about it. And my question to them is, what did the doctor say? Oh, the doctor said it's okay. But my question is, what do you mean by okay? You are stage 3. My normal question is going to be how many good years your doctor is going to assure you, and how many not so many good years the doctor is going. Trying to give them an idea so that for planning purpose, for just highlight on that, because that's very beneficial to all our listeners, because they have heard very most of the times the various stages of cancers.
Well, there are basically 4 stages to cancer. The first stage is obviously stage 1, and that's when you have a very small and isolated cancer. It's in one spot. You can't see it anywhere else, just right there. Stage 1, not spreading, it's just right there. Stage 1. Stage 2 is when it starts to spread a little bit in that general area. Like if it's in your colon or liver, it's spreading just a little bit in that area. So they would call it stage 2 because now it's moving and beginning to spread. Stage 3 would be when it gets into your lymph system. Your lymph is you have a complete lymphatic system in your body. It's one of your detox systems within your body. The lymph helps to cleanse your body. If the cancer gets into the lymph system, then it is really beginning to spread, and that's when they would call it a stage 3 cancer. And a stage 4 cancer is what we call metastatic cancer, and that's where it's turning up in other areas of the body. And of course, that's the worst kind. And I can tell you that a doctor cannot give you any years. A doctor cannot be predictive of the amount of time you have left with even stage 3 cancer, because stage 3 cancer, if they diagnose it to be that in the lymph system, it's probably somewhere else at the same time. They cannot detect it at this time. And so stage 3 might possibly, and oftentimes is already stage 4. So the doctors have nothing they can do for stage 4 cancer, nothing. They can give you chemo, but that should be a crime, because chemo has no chance of doing anything to heal stage 4 cancer, because it can't deal with these cancers that are all over your body. Just simply can't do it. As a matter of fact, it will make you worse. It won't make you better. It will make you worse. Chemo only kills the daughter cells, the daughter cancer cells. It does not kill the cancer stem cells. And the cancer stem cells are the cells that spread your cancer. Chemo actually makes them stronger. Same with radiation. It makes those cancer stem cells stronger. In other words, they're going to metastasize. They're going to spread throughout your body. They won't tell you that. They will tell you that radiation and chemo is your only chance, and that's baloney. I never took any of those for my cancer, nor would I ever for any cancer, because it's just simply not warranted. There are cases, if you have like we said, a stage 1 cancer that's very small in one spot, that they can direct some chemo or radiation to that, and they may be able to destroy that cancer. But that's the only opportunity. And I still wouldn't, if I had a cancer like that, I still wouldn't use chemo or radiation. But I don't fault people who do, because it does have a chance to kill a lot of that cancer if it's small and very isolated. It does have an opportunity, but still, you then need to get on a protocol that will build your body back up, because chemo and radiation destroy your body from the inside out. They simply do. They're poisons. And so we have to take that into account. It destroys your whole alimentary canal over time, and that's from your mouth down to your anus. All of that becomes subject to the bad effects of chemotherapy and radiation. So I caution people with that. But at the same time, again, don't panic. If your doctor says you have 1, 2, 3, or 4, don't panic. Just be calm and start to put together a plan that can help you. Because if you panic, that's stress. And we know that stress drives acidity and inflammation, and it drives cancer. Your body begins to shoot out the cortisol and the adrenaline, and it just drives cancer, drives inflammation. So no stress, regardless of the report that you get.
Thank you, Bob. That's greatly assuring. In spite of all situations, let not fear rule us, but seek help. Bob, the protocols you are mentioning, yes, it's very appropriate for cancer, but among our listeners today, there are some who are not actually looking at cancer, but looking at degenerative diseases. And I think the protocols applies to more or less the same too. Some thoughts on that, please?
Well, pretty much all disease is degenerative. And when we talk about that, we can be talking about the autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, like fibromyalgia, lupus, some arthritis, all degenerative diseases. And we have even neurodegenerative diseases when we talk about Parkinson's and we talk about Alzheimer's and Lou Gehrig's disease. They're very degenerative, mostly neuro in the nervous system, in the brain, neurodegenerative. And there's no hope for people that have those if they're going regular medicine. And we've seen that. I mean, how many Alzheimer's patients have you seen get better and be healed? None.
Very few. None.
Parkinson's, you just don't see it because medicine has no answer for that. They have drugs, and the drugs are pretty much all experimental. They really don't help the patients, but we know things that do help the patients. And we do have, like you said, Aaron, similar protocols for people like that. If you have arthritis, it's a food disease largely. And people say, food disease, what do you mean? It means you're eating the wrong kinds of foods. And all of these degenerative diseases or autoimmune diseases, we have to sit down and ask ourselves, why do you have an autoimmune disease? Why is your immune system supposedly attacking itself? Because that doesn't happen in healthy people. So something has gone wrong. And yet the answer that comes from doctors is, we need to give you something to weaken your immune system so it won't attack itself. And that is nonsense. We need to strengthen the immune system and find the root cause of why you have this degenerative disease or this immune disease. And generally, when we put together a similar protocol, we're eating the right food and drinking the right water and maybe mixing up the supplements that we use a little bit that really help these kinds of things. Guess what? We're dealing with the root cause of the problem. We want that autoimmune disease to go away, not just so you can feel a little bit better and take drugs for the rest of your life. And so those are the kind of solutions that we talk about, not dealing with symptoms, although we want the symptoms to decline, but we want the sickness to go away. We want it to be resolved, not just be controlled. And that's what medicine does with diabetes. They help you manage your diabetes.
Yes.
That's not a good thing, because what happens with diabetics is that they keep taking the insulin, they keep taking the drugs. Pretty soon their eyesight starts to go away. Pretty soon they get neuropathy in their feet and their toes. And then they have a toe cut off, a foot cut off, a leg cut off, and then they die of heart attacks or strokes. I mean, I don't want them to manage my diabetes. Yet people don't know if you've got type 2 adult onset diabetes, in 90 or 120 days, you can be free of it if you do the right things. But you're not going to find that from modern medicine.
Thank you, Bob. We're almost coming to the end of the questions, but there's one statement I like to make is that we ought to be responsible for our own health and not hand it over to our doctors to be responsible.
Absolutely. We should be our own doctors. And people say, well, I can't be a doctor. And when it comes to cancer, let me give you an example. When it comes to cancer, if you want to do just a little bit of study, you can probably know more about cancer and healing your cancer than your doctor can. And people think, well, that's kind of funny. But keep in mind, what's a doctor going to do? He's got a toolkit that has in it what? Chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery. Drugs. That's all he has. That's all he has to deal with. We have the right foods, the right diet, the right water, the right supplementation, detoxification, exercise. We got a whole bag full of goodies that actually work within the body to help us to heal. And we ought to use those, and we can be smart about that. Your doctor, you tell your doctor that turmeric kills cancer stem cells. Your doctor will just get a confused look on his or her face and say, what are you talking about? Because he doesn't know. He doesn't know that broccoli sulforaphane in broccoli kills cancer stem cells, the ones that spread the cancer, remember? You tell that to your doctor and he'll say, what are you talking about? So be your own doctor to an extent. You can't do a lot of the things your doctor can do, but there are some things you can do that will really help you.
Thank you, Bob, for that overview. Really appreciate that. And we want to go to the next part of the Zoom consultation. I'll hand over the time to John. Over to you, brother.
Oh, great. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Right. Before I start, I think it's important to emphasize on the Zoom consultation with Robert Wright that we have been undertaking it for the past 1 year now, have been very successful and also have producing great result. So I would like to share with you the latest one, that is lung cancer stage 3C. And through a consultation process, exactly what you see here, we've done it for nearly for an hour for a session to analyze the whole case, a recommendation by Bob Wright, what to do, what not to do, all this. So this is a clip of it before I share next. Let's listen to this with the latest Brother Francis Chong.
When did you first feel that something was going on in you? When did you first go to the doctor on this and have a CT and a PET scan? How long ago? Typically how this water works. And while I can't say it heals anyone, I know that so many people have had fantastic results because this isn't an everyday situation anymore. You know that you've got something going on in your lung, so we've got to treat this as serious. Noodles and white rice, as you know, are the same thing as bread. They're wonderful to eat, but they're just not good for us because they turn into sugar too. Pepper will make that turmeric up to 2,000 times more bioavailable and efficacious. We can't tell people what to do. We can only give them suggestions based on what we know and what we've seen, and so that's what we do. Okay.
For your good time.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Sam. We'll see you, Francis. Take care.
Yeah.
Yvonne, take care.
Now that is
When did you first?
that is Francis on the video just now you have seen. Consultation that is back in about December. And then kindly take, I will not play this video. I take the link on the right hand side, I produce it, the video link for you to watch it in your own time, in Malay and in Chinese subtitle as well. And then he was saying, going through the protocol that is being recommended by Robert Wright there, is amazing result that is produced. And then you can see exactly how he went through. Even Brother Francis is very passionate and he shared his healing so that most of you can be able to leverage on what he have done, right? And then he say that how he recovered. He went through 4 PET scan, 4 PET scan to monitor his health and through American Anti-Cancer Protocol. Listen to that, take the link and go and watch it and share it. I think that is more than important, caring by sharing, right? So the next thing what I want to do, how come we can do this? We can only do this with every single of the consultant here on the Zoom here to consult, to help Robert Wright to arrange the Zoom live consultation and spread the good news of the book and the protocol, right? So, and we can only do this possible. I will introduce some of the consultant here there so that they can talk briefly to arrange the Zoom consultation weekly basis at the time that is nominated by Robert Wright. Robert Wright, can you tell me who is the person that helped you in Hong Kong and China?
Well, of course, we have Eric Wong, and I was out there to see Eric and Kenneth, and we had a grand time in Hong Kong. We were overrun with people actually in book signings, as I recall. It was a splendid time, and I thank you, Eric, for all the good that you've done for people in your area. It's really exciting.
Okay, Eric, will you be able to come on and introduce briefly yourself for 2 minutes?
Okay.
Chinese, I will translate. 冇問題。
OK，咁做翻譯可唔可以啊
？Yeah, I will. 我做翻譯冇問題。Go ahead. I will do the translation.
先聽到阿波咧，好開心聽到阿波咧頭先分享咧，令我學咗好多嘢。
He have learned a lot of things listening to Bob just now.
咁啊，加上阿波咧冇見咗一段時間之後，我見佢越嚟越精神。
Every time you see Bob, you're getting more fresh and more young, more energy.
希望 我下次香港咧，我會送多啲嘢俾佢玩。
Next time you come to Hong Kong and do your bit, your work, and then we're going to give you a lot of things to play around.
OK， 好開心啦！我成為美國防癌協會同埋香港區嘅顧問啦。咁呢個係我自己嘅榮幸，亦都多謝阿 John 咧俾個機會我喺度咧係發展將健康嘅理念咧介紹多啲人嘅身體上改善。
I'm very pleased to have an opportunity to be able to assist American anti-cancer to help many of the patients around in China and Hong Kong.
咁我睇咗阿 Bob 本書之後咧，喺呢咁多年裏邊咧，我都幫助到好多癌症嘅朋友改善。
Also I read the book in detail, everything. I learned much, and then I helped many patients to reverse the cancer and become better in Hong Kong and China.
其中有一個 case 咧，好想同大家分享嘅。
One particular case, latest, I like to share with you with American anti-cancer Bob Wright protocol.
阿波都見過呢個人嘅。
Robert Wright also met this person in person in Hong Kong at the time we came and do the roadshow. Remember, Robert?
就係嚟緊呢幅相嘅阿君啦。佢本身咧有3期嘅鼻咽癌嘅末期嘅癌症。
Yeah, this person is nose cancer. Met Bob personally in the restaurant. He was very sick, remember? But nose cancer stage 3.
咁而家咧，佢除咗自己嘅鼻嗰個改善咗之外，呢個身體健康咗之外咧，而家喺香港開咗5間分店啦，5間嘅還原水分店係日本餐廳嚟嘅。
Wow, amazing. After he met you, he had 2 restaurants, and thereafter he resolved the nose cancer, completely cleared no cancer from Robert Wright ASA protocol. Now he opened up 5 shops, outlet for spread the good news of Kangen water and natural protocol in Hong Kong now.
我喺度等緊阿講啦，請我哋食晒5間嘅日本餐廳。
He said he'd like to invite you, Kwan, like to invite you to come and attend. He also opened 5 restaurants now. He's so healthy now, amazing, and invite you to come and dine at his restaurant.
Yeah, nice, nice.
Thank you.
咁而家嗰個阿君咧，每日咧飲嘅還原水咧，超過咗3公升以上，甚至每日食好多薑黃。我鼓勵佢食薑黃咧，而家每日食緊10粒，而家維持嘅身體咧越嚟越健康。
He just maintained his health by drinking Kangen water over 3 liters per day, and also drink about 10 capsules of turmeric as recommended by you, that he had been continue and then maintaining his very good health now.
同埋我而家咧研究咗一套咧，就係加埋笑嘅方法，笑療啊，用笑嘅方式令到佢一路飲水，一路笑，一路開心，一個情形就好似咧一個配套咁，令到佢每日朝頭早好精神咁笑。
He had discovered a add-on therapy to ACI protocol. He said, laugh, smile, and be happy. And then every day you just laugh and feel happy, and the recovery even faster.
咁呢段時間咧，我又去咗阿 John 我呢段時間咧去咗癌病工好多 centre。我而家咧每朝頭早咧喺Zoom 裏邊咧都同佢哋咧每朝頭早玩大約15至30分鐘嘅 laughing yoga， 加埋叫佢飲水，咁好多都得到康復，同埋好多謝 Robert Wright 嗰本書，我送咗好多本書俾嗰啲癌病協會啲人。
Yeah, he using the approach of your books and also contacted many cancer society and organization that he used a laughing therapy with Kangen water plus turmeric to help many cancer patients now in Hong Kong and China.
所以下次嚟到咧，好多朋友咧好想揾你簽名啊。
The next time you are here, you're going to be famous because everybody want you to sign on the book like what you did last time. Okay. Great.
Yeah, great.
喺度多謝波俾機會我哋喺香港咧，快啲見到你。
So he's looking forward to see you. You give him the opportunity, Bob, come to Hong Kong. Thank you. Great.
同埋中國大陸，中國好需要去嚟中國啊。
China is the one who most need you because he need you to spread the good news in China. That's the most important part for the next trip. Okay. Great. Bob say okay. So next we okay. Next one. How about in Malaysia? Can you refer in Malaysia who are the person represent you to arrange all the Zoom consultation?
Well, we have Edwin. Edwin, I'm not sure I have all your full name. Rizal Johari for East Malaysia, right? Or no, excuse me, West Malaysia.
Yeah, that's correct.
Does that mean he's out on the peninsula, like by Borneo and that area?
Yes, Edwin, can you Can you introduce yourself briefly, what you do and how you help AACI?
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
You can call me just Edwin.
Edwin, okay.
In English, you can about the same like advance. Okay, I'm amazed first time when I bought the book and I read the protocols from you, and I tried the Kenga water, the Ukon turmeric, and I shared with many people, and it helps many people in Malaysia. And I'm excited after selected by Mr. John as a consultant for West Malaysia region. I was before an oil and gas engineer before I jumped into this health and wellness industry. And now I think from 2017, I frequently invited for seminar and monthly events promoting cancer protocols from your good book, Killing Cancer, Not People. I'm also a full-time global partner for Energic. We supply Kenga water machine all around Malaysia and neighboring country. I'll be happy to help those people in need hand in hand with you, Mr. Robert, and AACI, American Cancer Institute. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Edwin, very much. We appreciate you coming on board and helping people, because it takes all of us to do it. I mean, I can't be everywhere, but when you read the book and you listen to these things and you actually see these protocols working in people, you know that they do in fact work. And
Yes,
we're so
yes.
appreciative that you're helping them. So thanks very much for coming on board with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Oh, great. Okay, the next one we have also actively helping Bob do the translation, particularly consulting in Chinese Mandarin. We depend on you on that, right? Who is that? Bob, right?
Yeah, yes, San, right? I'm just amazed that I can't. As I told you before, most Americans can barely speak English, let alone any other language, and so it's always just such a treat to see how easily that you help us with English and with Chinese, and I don't even know. You may speak 3 or 4 other languages. I'm not sure, but we're so grateful to you helping us and helping to translate what we're doing, and it's just a tremendous help for us, and it's a real treat to have you on board with us.
Thank you, San. Can you introduce briefly yourself?
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm San from Sabah, Malaysia. So I've been with AACI for almost a year. So I've been helping with the translation, all this, but throughout this journey, I actually learned a lot. I learned more than I give. So I'm truly blessed to be on this. But what I really love to share with all is that one thing that Bob always say, what prevents heal and what heals prevent. And that actually is such a simple, short sentence, but the impact it brings, we really need to go into that. Okay, so, and one thing is, cancer actually brings a dead end message to most of the people. But we can actually find the hope through ASCI. And this is what why I so insist and persistent in this journey. So, yep, thank you for giving me the chance to be on this. So thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you so much, San.
So
Thank
next,
you.
yeah, Robert, how about the one who interviewed you? What did he do for you? Can you introduce Aaron, Andy?
Yes, Aaron, Andy. Well, I feel like after all this time, Aaron and Andy and I are almost best friends. You know, it's amazing, and you've got a great deal of wisdom, and I like how that you copy me on all the letters you send out to the people in India and other places, and they're so professional, and you just do an excellent job. You moderate all of these Zooms that we do, and you just do a fantastic job, and you have a great understanding of what we're doing, and I'm so thankful for you and what you're doing.
Great. Okay, briefly introduce yourself, Aaron.
Thank you, Bob, for that very kind words of yours. Of course, my background is healthcare management. I co-founded Malaysia's first healthcare management organization. I had 800 clinics, 102 hospitals on my panel. I had 3 doctors on board of my staff. My defining moment was when a relative of mine had advanced stage of prostate cancer. Doctors gave him 4 to 6 months to live. And that's when we refer this case to you. And having followed the AACI protocol, we had the cancer markers had drastically dropped down. And instead of that 4 to 6 months they have given, he lived for 6.5 years. Wow, truly, truly. When you hear the word cancer, it is not a death sentence, but there is hope. Never have I, in my 25 years career in the healthcare industry, have experienced such amazing results. So with that, Bob, now I strongly recommend and promote the AACI protocols to cancer patients and degenerative diseases. And important of all, the best tool that I have is promoting killing cancer, not people. So with that, I want to say thank you for the opportunity. God bless.
Thank you. How about great. How about Singapore? Who you got for Singapore, Bob?
For Singapore, well, we have Zhu Ming, Lau, and Michael. Is he here? There.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good morning. Actually, my wife unable to join, so I'm basically represent my wife. So Bob and John, as you know, she joined a lot of Zoom call.
Yes.
You guys, yeah, and I mean, her background is basically she's all the while in wellness and health since she was single before married. All right, and after she got married, we got to know Kangen Water, and then we had a special need kids as well. So through that journey, we realized and know that knowing yourself and health is a key to to longevity, right? And we also attended your session when you were in Singapore. So that's where we got to know the 5 steps of protocols that you wrote in your book. We read your book as well. And both Zhu Ming and myself, we practicing these 5 steps. And we also try to educate our children and people around us about these 5 important protocols. Yeah. So, I mean, it's good that we have technology like Zoom where we can get in touch with people who need to know more about this, who seek help, and getting you, John, and even Aaron in a call, to guide the patient, right? And not just beyond Zoom. Today we have WhatsApp. You can regularly get in touch with them, understand where they are in terms of embracing the 5 protocols and what other helps that they need. If they have questions, they can raise to us. And there are so many modes of communication today, even email, right? So we are glad that we got to know AACI protocol, and thanks to John and his guidance as well as Bob. Yeah, and we continue to educate and get people on board to help them to have better health and longevity. Yeah.
Great. We also have Winston Link from Singapore. Winston, are you on the video? If you can talk. Yeah, I think Winston. Winston, introduce briefly yourself. What is your mission to help AACI to launch this more actively in this Zoom consultation? Can you hear? Unmute. You cannot open the video. Oh, problem. Cannot unmute. Ask to unmute, right? Cannot. Right. Okay. Nonetheless, you can't do that. Okay,
Okay. I can unmute now.
Yeah, you have been consulting for a long time. Go on.
Yes. Indeed, I want to thank Bob and John. Yes, I've been AACI consultant for a while. Even I think that time when Bob was in Singapore. So yes, I've been sharing, and in fact, I also do give talks and regarding AACI, and always promoting that at the end of the day, we really need to arm ourselves, or in preventive measures. So I also do go to region side and in the regions to also share the goodness of AACIs and the 5 protocols. Definitely, I think this is something that I always say, with right knowledge, nobody needs to be sick. Nobody needs to suffer pain. Yeah. Thank you. Back to you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, Winston. And yeah, I remember you in Singapore, and I remember coming into that fabulous and beautiful city. I was just stunned I mean, I go around America now and I see garbage everywhere, and I didn't even see a gum wrapper on the ground in Singapore. It's such a beautiful city, and it was a fantastic turnout we had there too. So thank you very much for your work and what you've done for us. And back to Michael and Ju Ming as well. You know, Ju Ming is she goes into so much detail. She actually is like a defense attorney for her clients that she's representing. And she always gets back to me, and she always has so much detail, and that helps. So all of you who bring people to the consultations, the more details we have, the more that we're able to help the patient, because we have a greater understanding. You know, sometimes someone will say, well, I've got bad pancreatic cancer. And we talk about that for a long time. Then they say, oh, and I have diabetes and heart failure too. And we should have known that up front, you know. And so, but Ju Ming is very detailed, and I thank you guys for all the work that you're doing there. And Winston, you as well. Fabulous. Everyone, you've done such a great job.
Okay. Thank you very much for the time. Anyway, Dennis Kong is on the road. He's not available to talk now. Dennis Kong is the one with a son, 17-year-old with a brain tumor. And Dr. Gowrie is just joined us. He's in the airport now, coming back to Malaysia from New York. So he will be representing you, newly appointed ASA consultant for Malaysia and USA, you know. Great.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
Good, that would be fantastic news. And anyway, last and not all, myself, I have given the privilege for Robert Wright to appoint and identify ASA consultant to be appointed. And then from there, I monitor and implement the strategy by ACI mission by Robert Wright. And that's what I do to coordinate everything. Thank you.
Well, John, yeah, what you have done goes beyond almost anything I can explain or understand. I mean, when I first came to Southeast Asia, it was like a well-oiled machine. Everything that you had set up and all the places we went, it just one place after another. As a matter of fact, we were doing sometimes 2 and 3, maybe 4 presentations a day. Everything was choreographed. You guys did just a fantastic job, and I'm so proud to have you and June as the head ambassadors out there, and I just look at the people that you've appointed here and that are working there, and they're just all fabulous. I wish we had this quality of people in America that would help us, but we don't yet. We're working on it. Okay.
Great. This is all according to God's plan, right? Okay, over to you, Aaron. I finished with my bit. Thank you.
Yeah, in all our sessions, we highlight this disclaimer notice, Bob. This is important for us. Today's session is for educational and information only. It is not intended for the diagnosis or treatment of any of the sickness, illness, diseases of any nature. For that, see your qualified licensed medical practitioner. Thank you. So with that, I want to take this opportunity to thank Bob for taking his time to be with us this afternoon. It has been such a fruitful day today. And I also want to take the opportunity to thank all our listeners, from near and far. They have joined us and staying to the very end. And I just want to ask of you that if you should need any help at all, please communicate through us, through your people who have introduced, so that we can be of assistance. And when the time is necessary, we will make the necessary arrangement with Bob on his consultancy. So with that, we want to say thank you for today, a wonderful session we have, and we are certainly looking forward in May to have Bob to be with us. So once again, thank you very much. God bless you, and see you again. Please unmute yourself and say hi and bye to Bob, all of us. Can we do that?
Thank you, Bob. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Bob. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Aaron.
John. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes.